I call cause numbers 10,762 and 10,763. Each of these cases being styled the state of Texas versus Justin Dean Reeves. The cases are called for purposes of pretrial. We are conducting these pretrial hearings by remote video teleconferencing technology using the Zoom protocol. This hearing is also, or these hearings are also being live streamed on the court's YouTube channel. And since they are being electronically produced or presented and held, I announce that all parties are expressly prohibited from recording any portion of the proceeding by any means whatsoever, electronic or otherwise. With those pronouncements, for purposes of pretrial, what says the state?
Ready, Your Honor.
And the defense?
We are ready, Your Honor, for pretrial.
And we'll note that Mr. Reeves is present and ready also. Let me advise Mr. Farusco that we will be with you just very shortly. If you will remain there, I will get to your case just shortly. All right. For purposes of pretrials in Mr. Reeves' cases, what says the state? Do you have any pretrial matters?
The state has no pretrial matters, Judge.
And the defense?
Your Honor, I do have a pretrial matter I wish to address with the court. I was appointed to represent Mr. Reeves in both of his cases on around January 13th. So I've not been his lawyer very long. Both cases involve a lot of documentation from the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. I recently received lots of documents and I need additional time in which to go through all of this information and to discuss it with Mr. Reeves at this time. So I would ask that his case be passed off this docket, Your Honor.
Passed is not an expression I use. I take your motion as a motion for continuance. I find your request or your motion reasonable to allow you the full opportunity for discovery and discussion with your client about that discovery. Is Mr. Reeves out on bond?
Yes,
Yes,
Your
sir.
Honor.
Then that makes it easier for me to grant the continuance since he's not being incarcerated while we're waiting. So I grant that continuance and we will reschedule Mr. Reeves' case to the March docket. And we will, of course, everybody can evaluate then whether it's ready for trial or not, or whether we have other cases that might go to trial in front of it at that time. Is there anything else we need to take up in Mr. Reeves' two cases at this time?
I have nothing else, Judge.
Nothing from defense, Your Honor. Thank you, Judge.
All right, is Mr. Reeves reporting for bond supervision?
Yes, sir, he is. He's reported and he's paid.
All right, then you will continue with those obligations, Mr. Reeves. But
Yes,
other
sir.
than that, we are, that concludes the pretrial hearing in your cases this afternoon, and you may be excused. I will take care of making sure that you are excused from the virtual hearing. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, sir. Thank you a lot.
Yes, sir.
Hey, y'all take care. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Now then, are you Mr. Farusca? Mr. Farusca, you need to unmute your device. How does he do that on an iPhone?
You probably can.
It just-
There should be a button at the bottom.
I know there
That's
should
a
be.
smartphone. Bottom left.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes,
Are you,
sir.
are you Mr. Farusca?
Yes, sir.
Let me get started in your case, Mr. Farusca. I call cause number 10,850. The case is styled the state of Texas versus Jorge Olivares Ferrusca.
Yes, sir.
Do you go by Jorge?
Yes, sir. Jorge Olivares.
All right, sir. This case is called for purposes of pretrial. It is being conducted, the hearing is being conducted by remote video teleconferencing technology using the Zoom protocol. It is also being live streamed on the court's YouTube channel in order to allow the public to have access and for us to comply with Texas Supreme Court orders and rules and directions from the Office of Court Administration. Since it is being presented and conducted electronically, I further announce and advise that all parties who may have access to this electronic or virtual presentation of the hearing are expressly prohibited from recording any portion of it by any means, except for the official court reporter who is transcribing and recording this proceeding just like he would do if we were in person in the courtroom. With those announcements being made, I recognize State's Counsel. Is the state ready to proceed?
State's ready, Your Honor.
And Mrs. Fuller, on behalf of the defense, is the defense ready to proceed?
Judge, I'm ready to proceed for pretrial. I do have a request to make for the court, to the court.
Let me check one other thing. Mr. Ferrusca, where are you physically located right now?
I'm in Odessa. I'm working in Pecos.
All right, sir. And so you are appearing today by this Zoom virtual hearing. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mrs. Fuller, I recognize you, and you said you might have a matter.
Judge, I just wanted to, at some point, maybe ask the court to allow me to visit maybe in a breakout room with Mr. Ferrusco, but I did want to tell the court that I cannot announce ready to proceed this month for trial in this case. This is actually the first time I've spoken or seen Mr. Ferrusca. I'm not sure if I have a bad number or a bad address, but I am not prepared to go forward.
All right.
I believe I was just appointed to him also as well. It has been about a month since I've been appointed to him, though.
Okay. I grant your request for continuance, and I will facilitate you meeting with Mr. Ferrusca by putting the two of you in what we call a breakout room. I will probably, whoops. Did you drop your phone?
Yes, sir.
All right. Good
Sorry.
catch. That's all right. Good catch. As long as it wasn't you and it was just the phone, I'd hate for you to be dropped. I'm going to, Mr. Ferrusca, I'm going to electronically make sure that you and your attorney are the only ones who can see and hear one another. We call it a breakout room. And then when you're through, you will come back into my hearing. I may be in other hearings. When you come back, I will dismiss you. That is, because your pretrial hearing is now finished for today. I'm just giving you a chance to talk to your lawyer. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Judge, before you remove us, may I ask if Mr. Ferrusco has been complying with Mr. Oliver's request for supervision?
He has reported. He has not made his payments, but he did report.
I will visit about that
Okay.
in this breakout room as well. Thank you, Judge.
Let me tell my coordinator, answer a question from my coordinator, tell her, and I'll tell her yes. All right, just let me know when I'll know when you come back in, and I will just immediately excuse you unless, oops, too late. I'll either immediately excuse them or not. Yeah, tell Pete, let's get him in if we can. All Pardon? Well, Pete's not here yet, but by doing so, she's trying to make room for us.
Does Pete have a case?